Hello students, and welcome to this lesson on polyhedrons and cross-sections. Our objective today is that we will create a three-dimensional solid and identify key attributes using journal notes and a paper folding activity. Alright, so real quick before we get started, you see this purple box right here. Make sure that you leave some space right in this area because this is where you're going to glue in the piece that you guys picked up today. So this triangle pyramid example is going to be glued in right on the triangle pyramid example part up on this purple box. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can before you get started on the notes. Alright, so let's talk about the difference between two-dimensional figures and three-dimensional figures. And I know that you guys are already pretty familiar with this. It should be something that you learned in middle school pretty well. So a two-dimensional figure is called a polygon. And so those are going to be figures that have two dimensions, and those dimensions are typically length and width. A three-dimensional figure is called a polyhedron. And often a polyhedron is going to be made up of polygons. And it's going to have a third dimension. So not only do you have length and width, like you see here, length and width, but it now also has a third dimension, which we call height. And you guys are very familiar with this. And so we have three dimensions. Now let's talk about further classifying polyhedrons. So we're very familiar with polygons. We've gone through those a lot, but let's talk about polyhedrons and different classifications of them. So a pyramid is a polyhedron that has one base that is a polygon and lateral faces are triangles. And the most popular version of a pyramid is going to be a rectangular pyramid. So you've got this rectangular base, and then you've got four sides which are all triangles. And so when you're thinking about a pyramid, literally think about like a pyramid. When you're thinking about, say, history, right? The pyramids of Giza. Those are rectangular pyramids. Then when we're talking about a prism has two bases. Or polygons. And the lateral faces are rectangles. And if you want an example of that, just think about a box, right? So if you've got a box, and it has a, well actually let's think about a triangular prism. That'll be a little bit more indicative. So we've got a triangular face, then all of the sides will be rectangles, and then my other face will still be a triangle. So those are typically what we're going to be using as far as our polyhedrons go. Now we'll also get into regular polyhedrons and special polyhedrons, which have a little bit different structure. So let's also talk about how we measure these polyhedrons, or these three-dimensional figures. So if I talk about the surface area, I'm talking about the total area of the faces, or surface, of a figure. This is like, how much wrapping paper do I need? We're also going to measure volume, and that's going to be the total amount of space inside a 3D object. And an example of this might be, how much water can I put in this? All right, so let's take a quick look at our cutout. So go ahead and glue that in, and then go on to the next part of this video. All right, so in your cutout here, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're going to cut on this dotted line here. So cut along this dotted line, and then we're going to write a couple of things on our cutout here. So the only place where there should be any glue is on this top portion here. So this is where you're going to actually glue it into your journal. So you're going to use this this top strip to glue it into your journal. Now this is going to pop up when you're done with it, and I'll show you guys an example when we get there. So let's go ahead and label everything that we're going to have to label. So if we're looking at this yellow portion here, whenever we have a defined polygon of a polyhedron, what we're going to call that is a face. So everything within the boundaries here is going to be a face. Wherever two faces meet, we call that an edge. So go ahead and label these blue pieces as an edge. And finally, what we're going to see is that where 3 or more edges meet, that's going to be called a vertex. So what you're going to see when you pop this up is that this part where it says do not write here, you're going to fold that underneath, and you're going to find that you've got a figure. It's a triangular pyramid, and it has 3 faces with 3 faces, 6 edges, and 4 vertices. So for your activity, what you're going to want to do is take your paper that you picked up that has your own your own polyhedron on there, and go ahead and color it and then glue it together so that it creates a figure. Then you want to make sure that all of your edges and vertices and faces are labeled, and I'll show you guys an example. So let me know if you have any questions, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.